In years to come, Abraham would go through times of darkness, times when there were no stars to be seen. He would wonder, has God abandoned me? Will he still keep his promise? What is his plan for my life and for my children? Why doesn't he answer my prayer? Why does he delay? Yet Abraham would not give up on God, even though he had to wait for 30 years, past his 100th birthday, for God to give him a son, the first of those stars God had promised. Despite his discouragement and the dreariness of those childless years, despite the mocking and derision of his neighbors, Abraham continued to look skyward. He continued to count stars, even when there were no stars to be seen. In this book you will discover the rich life principles of Abraham's story. You'll learn to count God's promises to you, the many promises he has given you in his Word. God has made more than 3,000 promises to us in the Bible. Promises of abundant life, answers to our questions, assurance for our doubts, blessings for our lives and our families, comfort in our sorrows, compassion for our sufferings, confidence for our challenges, courage for dangerous times, defense from our enemies, deliverance from temptation, direction for the journey, encouragement for our weariness, everlasting life, faith for the future, forgiveness for the past, freedom from worry and anxiety, friendship with God, grace for each day, guidance for our plans, healing for our diseases, help in times of trouble, hope in times of despair, inheritance that will never fade, joy in times of sorrow, justice when we have been wronged, love that never fails, mercy that never runs out, peace that passes understanding, pleasures everlasting, power for any problem, presence of God, protection from perils, provision for our needs, refuge in times of trouble, renewal of fading strength, rescue when we call for help, rest and restoration for our souls, rewards for obedient service, salvation by grace through faith, satisfaction that is soul deep, shelter in the time of storm, success for the plans he gives us, victory over obstacles and opposition, vindication before accusers, wisdom when we call upon him. These are just a few of the promises he makes to us. These are the promises God has given us in his Word. These are the stars God has given us to count. God told Abraham to count the stars even when he could see no stars. And God tells you and me to count the stars of his promises even when the night is black and starless, even when our circumstances close in like a specter from a nightmare. As we walk alongside Abraham through the journey of his life and faith, we will see his trust in God fail from time to time, just as we so easily falter in our own faith. But we will also see Abraham learning and growing in faith and obedience. We will see God patiently lifting him up, brushing him off, and setting him on his feet again. And we will learn how to keep moving onward and upward with God, how to keep counting stars when we can see none. What are the stars God is telling you to count today? You may not be able to see those stars in the darkness of your circumstances, but like Abraham, you can count them with eyes of faith. Let Abraham's testimony be yours as well. His faith was not in vain, and neither is yours. As Hebrews chapter 11, verse 12 testifies, "From this one man, and he as good as dead, came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as the sand on the seashore." What do we have in common with this Old Testament man of faith? Everything. Join me as we step 4,000 years back in time and find a flesh-and-blood human being just like you and me, failing, growing, and showing us how we too, even in the dark times of life, can count the stars of God's unfailing promises. 1. 7 Promises. Have you ever tried to count the stars? The Greek-Roman astronomer Ptolemy, who lived in Alexandria, Egypt in the 2nd century A.D., was the first scientist to catalog the visible stars in the night sky. His book, the Almagest, charts the locations of 1,022 stars, all the stars Ptolemy could see. About 14